Hey guys, Brian here with Roofer Marketers. Today I'm just going to do a quick video on how to get ranked on Google Maps for your roofing, siding, or gutter business. Um, my history is really in Google search, local maps, local search. So this is really an area of expertise. I've been working in it for the last 6 or 7 years. So hopefully this can be a quick presentation. We're going to dive into it into a webinar a little later in the coming months here. But we can at least get started and give you some good aspects on what you can do to help your company get better ranked on Google Maps, and there's a lot of benefits to doing that. So let's just get started. Let's dive right into it. So how important is Google Maps? And if you're not familiar what Google Maps is, most people do. But in terms of getting found, getting your company listed in Google, and getting found in Google Maps for searches in your local area, it's going to look like this. So the Google search results, they're going to look exactly like this. There's a few different aspects to it. So this is a common search these days. People typing in, things like roofing companies near me, roofing contractors near me, stuff like that. It seems to be a more common search these days than things like roofing companies in a city. Even though that is still very prevalent, you're going to see a lot of stuff that people on their mobile phones or on their cell phones, they're driving around, or they're running errands, and maybe they're like, oh, I need to call a roofer, or they're doing research, so they're on their phones a lot. So they'll be typing in, roofing companies in my area, roofing companies near me. And if you type that in locally, you're going to get a few different sections on the Google search results. First thing you're going to get is these usually 3 to 4 ads right up top here. You can see these are ads. It says right here. These people pay. This is pay per click, and we'll go into this in another video. But people pay to be here. This is not organic in any ways. People don't, use any search engine tactics or anything. They just pay to be here. If I were to click on this, it's going to cost them money every time because they're hoping that you're going to call once you land on their website or landing page. Then down here, this is what we're going to be talking about today, and this is the Google Maps section. I'm going to turn off this plugin quick. This is right below the ads, and it is completely organic, meaning nobody's paying to be here. These companies earn the right to be here. They're either, they've hit Google's algorithm on a number of levels, meaning they're local, so they're in the general search vicinity. So if people are typing in roofing companies near me, they're looking for something that's nearby their location. So that's why this is popping up. And then the secondary would be, the trustworthiness and the authority of those actual websites or the roofing companies themselves. So Google understands them as to be, powerful forces in the area, and that's why they're getting the recognition in this map pack. So the first thing you'll notice up top here is there is an ad now that's showing in these map packs. Again, something we'll go into later on, but this can be pretty powerful because it is such a small little ad, little sign down there that's hard to see. So a lot of people just take it as organic, and people see that as trustworthiness. So people will click on this ad. But ideally, typically, there's going to be 3 spots. There's going to be the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 spot in Google Maps, and on any search result. And then beneath that is what we call the regular search engine organic results down here. And this is where, this is your typical Google search result, in rankings and stuff like that. So to get ranked in Google Maps, it's not always the same as, it doesn't really correlate usually to down below here. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. A lot of times, these days at least, it's very difficult to rank in these top, 3, 4, or 5 spots of organic search down below here, just because most of them are taken up by the big boys right here, like BBB, Thumbtack, Yelp. You'll see Home Advisor. So it's very tough to get ahead of these 4. So this is primarily where you're going to get your best shot at search engine optimization, is in this Google Maps pack. And so that's what we're going to dive into today, just kind of show you how you can do a few things to help you to get ranked in this map pack. Um, so a couple stats here. 30% of all traffic, so every search engine result that pops up for people typing in any type of keyword into Google Maps, 30% of them is going to click on one of these three results right here. And this statistic is found by a pretty reputable local SEO company. They're a pretty big website. They have a lot of information. But Bright Local, they actually did a test to see what's actually coming up. So, and I'll go through that right here. So, here's the proportion of clicks by search result type. And I think they did it for plumbing, but it's all pretty much the same. So the idea behind it is to see how many people were clicking on each section of the Google search results. So again, you have your ads up top here, and in this particular one you had local service ads, which I didn't show you here. Sometimes those are popping up for roofing, and again we'll dive into that again, but again it's all the same. It's an ad. So these top parts are ads. And then again, the local pack is what we're talking about, the local map pack. You're going to see here, even with these local services ads on both of these search results, around 30% of the time, people are clicking in this local pack result. So it's a big factor. I mean, it's a lot of people that are clicking in there. This organic search result, it's a bit skewed because if we scroll down a little more, you're going to see the number one search result on beneath the map pack is getting about 30% of that 45 to 50%. And that again is typically, if we go back to it, it's going to be like the Better Business Bureau, Yelp, stuff like that. So typically not something you yourself and your company can rank for. So that's why we just like to reiterate how important Google Maps are to get ranked in, and how important it is to be in this 1, 2, or 3 spot. So if we go back here, so 30% of all the traffic goes to that Google Maps 3-pack. 17% of all traffic goes to the number 1 position in the map pack. And you'll see that right here, local pack result 1, and over here as well, around 16 to 17%. That's a good chunk of the traffic. So, 16 or 17 clicks out of every 100, if you're getting ranked in that Google Maps pack and going to your website or going to your Google My Business listing to see your information, that's pretty big. That's a pretty big chance of converting some leads, getting some more business for your company. And again, remember, Google Maps, you're not paying for it. So once you're there, it's free. It's free traffic, so it's free visibility. So that's why it's just such an important thing. It's such an important part of our strategy, and it should be a part of any business's strategy, along with a number of other things. That's why we have our system. It's a 4-pillar system, but this is one of our pillars, is to be, in that map pack and get ranked up top there. And the other big thing is consumers, they trust Google Maps. The trust is there. That is the biggest thing. I think that's probably the most underutilized thing that people don't talk about, is the trust factor. So people still, even in 2019, they don't trust ads. A lot of people know what ads are. They know what pay-per-click and Google AdWords is. They see the ad marker right here. So a lot of people just don't trust this. And a lot of people know to go scroll down further and not to click on these ads. So to be ranked here in this top 3 is going to give you all the advantage in the world, because it gives you that trust factor that they perceive as, you earn the right to be in these top search results. So there's more likely that, you're going to be clicked on, you're going to be the person that, or your company is going to be the one that they call up and try to get an estimate from. So let's move on. There's a few different factors to Google Maps. There is the first part is your Google My Business listing. So Google My Business, if you're not familiar with it, you need to get familiar with it, because everything in Google Maps revolves around your Google listing, your Google My Business listing. And if you don't have a Google My Business listing, I suggest right now If you run a business, any type of business, any roofing, siding, gutter business, it's crucial that you have a Google My Business listing, and get it set up now. It's free. Google.com/business. And they'll send you a postcard that you'll just have to verify. And once you get it verified, then boom, you're on Google Maps. So just for example, we'll do a client of ours, Prominent Construction, right here in Minneapolis. So I typed in their name, and in search results on the right here, you're going to get what they call the knowledge panel. The only reason this pops up is because they have a Google My Business listing, which means their business is on Google, so they have all this information. They have their address, hours, phone, links to their website, on maps, some photos. It pulls in all their reviews, excuse me, some questions and answers, all sorts of stuff like that. So it's important that you have this set up. So I'm going to show you quick how to optimize your listing to the best of your abilities with what you have. It is important to optimize your Google My Business listing because your Google My Business listing on Google ties in directly to your website, and the two of them together are what create your presence online, in Google's eyes at least, and that presence is what ranks you in Google Maps. So it's all about trustworthiness, all about relevance to your local area. There's a number of factors in there, but getting your Google My Business optimized is 100% the number one thing you should be doing as soon as you get a Google My Business location, or a location, physical location for your office set up on Google My Business. Let me just pull up here. All right. So this is the inside of the Google My Business dashboard. This is what it looks like. You got a company name. You're going to have your categories of what you do, address, your service areas, hours, phone number, and then link to your website, your services, a little description about what you do, and that's pretty much it. So, and then you can also upload photos, posts, and then it also has links to your reviews, which are super, super important. So the first thing with GMB optimization is you want to make sure everything is filled out completely. You don't want to miss a step. So as soon as you get your Google My Business up and running, you're live on Google, you're verified, you want to go to your info section on it and fill everything in. Put in your full business name here. The biggest thing, the issue I see with people is they put in the incorrect category or categories for their business. If you're a roofing contractor, but you also do siding, gutters, maybe you do restoration, windows, like these guys do. If you're still a roofing contractor as your primary business and you want to be ranked for roofing contractor, you need to have roofing contractor as your primary category. Do not put your roofing contractor category down below here amongst all these other ones. If you want to rank for roofing contractor, this is the biggest issue I always see. People put like general contractor or something like that up top where it says category, primary category. Make sure it says roofing category or roofing contractor in your primary category. Can't stress that enough. If you do siding, great. If you do installation, any other contracting work, put that down here in your additional categories so you'll have an additional chance to rank for that. But, excuse me, it will be very difficult to rank for roofing contractor if it's not your primary category. It's near impossible. So, if roofing's your main thing and it's what you make money from, that's what you want to rank for, make sure that's your primary category. If you're a siding contractor and you do roofing a little bit, but mainly siding, make sure siding's your primary category. If you do gutters, gutter cleaning is unfortunately the only option that they have. So whether you do gutter cleaning or you do gutter contracting work, installation, put the gutter cleaning as your primary category because for some reason Google sees those as the same. So make sure, so for your address, make sure you have your full office address in here, suite number and everything. If you're a service area business, you may not have a physical address. That's fine. A lot of the new areas, you might just have a service area, which is fine. In that case, you want to put your service area here. Add every city, postal code, county. It doesn't matter how you describe your service area to Google. Just make sure it's correct and don't go too far. So if you have, a service area of 150 miles, that's just way too big to cover for one Google My Business location. It's fine if you service 150 miles out, but don't put that in your service area in your Google My Business because it's too big of an area. I would say max you could put a service area of 30 miles in your Google My Business location on the back end. So, if you go 30 miles out max, so put in the counties that are closest to you, to your physical location, but don't go any further out than that. In this case, we went 22 miles out because it went near the border of Wisconsin because these guys are in the Twin Cities. So we didn't want to go any further out than that. So it's also going to give you a better chance to rank if you hone in on a closer area, a closer radius of your service area. Hours, make sure to put that in there. Phone number, make sure you have the correct phone number in there. Website, one thing I can't stress enough is make sure you use the correct version of your website. And a lot of people do this incorrectly. It's fine typically to put, so if your website, for example, I'll just do Prominent again as an example. If you type in www.prominentconstructionllc.com, it does redirect them to the non-www version of their website, which is fine. But we want to make sure that we have this correct one in here. If you have an HTTPS, make sure that's in there too. Or if it's just an HTTP, that's fine too. But make sure you select the actual URL from your website and put it in your Google My Business spot right here. Because if you do it incorrectly, I have seen issues with the ranking, mainly because there's that redirect there. It gets more technical, but just make sure it matches exactly what's on your website. Appointment URL, if you have one, like a contact us page or a free estimate page, put that in here. It's helpful. It allows people straight from Google to go to your free estimate page. Services, this is one where we just break down the services by categories. So we broke it down by residential and commercial, and siding, gutters, insulation, basically every service category that they offer. We broke that down in here. Helps Google, again, associate what they actually do in your Google My Business listing with what's actually on their website. And then finally, you have down here, we have brief description of their business. Don't be spammy. Don't just push. I know a lot of sometimes you hire low budget SEO companies, they'll just stuff a bunch of keywords in there. That doesn't do you any favors. Write like you would about your business. Maybe include the fact that you're in a certain city, you service a certain area, but just highlight, it's your chance to tell everyone a little bit about your business. It's more of a call to action. For us, it's guaranteed expert roof inspection, the services that they do, and they offer the best possible customer service. Because again, if people are typing in your company name, which a lot of people will do after the second or third time, you're going to see down here that they actually have the info they need for the customer. So people actually see what's down there. Photos. That's another big thing with Google My Business. You want to make sure you have your photos filled out to the max. So you can add all your photos down here. You want to add your logo, your cover photo, and then just make sure you add, projects that you've done, awards you've received. Any type of photos are helpful. Add them in your Google My Business listing. Fill up the photos. You can see all the categories by owner, customer, videos, interior, exterior, at work. This all helps in the long run, so add as many photos as you possibly can. GMB posts. This is one we're starting to do more and more. this is a new thing within Google My Business, within their dashboard. It's under the posts section over here. And basically what it is, it's kind of like a social media um, type, it's almost like a social media feed. These posts can pop up in your Google My Business in the Google Maps actual section. So it's a way to kind of get people's attention when they're looking through your listing on Google My Business. Basically what it is, it consists of either a photo or a video, a quick like paragraph or call to action, and then a link to go somewhere. So typically right now with our clients, we're in prime roofing season. We are creating 4 unique posts to post on Google Posts every week. So it's just something to keep the business listing active. And from our testing, a lot of industry experts around the area testing, Google Posts are actually helping Google Maps rankings. So posting regularly can help. A lot of the good ones that we like to do, just some examples, screenshot of maybe a Google review you got, post that as the photo, and then copy the actual text of the review down below, and then you can link to your website from there. Just like stuff like that can get people's eyes. It allows people to view more on your website, but it also gets that consistent feed to Google that you're an active Google My Business profile, so it's going to help your long-term rankings in Google Maps. If I can find let me just type something here. Let's just see if I can find. Oh, and I forgot that here is this is a whole nother topic altogether. This is not organic and not Google Maps, but this is another new thing that Google's testing for roofers. We'll go into that that is that local service ads area though. All right, so if we go to more places and we go to this area, let's see if we can just find someone that's maybe doing these posts. Might not be many people down here, but well, anyways, not a lot of people are doing it, but what's typically going to happen if you have a Google post, you're going to see it in this section right here, which is pretty cool. Actually, one of our gutter contractors, let's check out Gutter Mains quick. There we go. So this is one of our other clients who's in the gutter business. You see, we post one of their posts over here too. You're going to see this is one of those review posts. So easy booking, nice workers. It pops up in their feed, and then people can click on it to go to their website and read more. So that's something you definitely want to do on an active basis with Google Posts. And then finally, reviews are the biggest thing ever. They are really important. They are a ranking factor. We are seeing that more and more. So make sure you get Google reviews. 2 reviews isn't going to cut it. You got to get as many as you can. 30, 40, 50, 60, 100. The more the better. We have one client that has 315 reviews, and you better believe they're crushing it because they just have so much exposure and so much high praise from so many customers. People feel that they're the trusted person to go with every time, so they're going to call that company. So the more reviews you can get, the better. You can give them specific links to do that. I'll give you a quick, what is that? Whitespark review generator. So this is a good link to go to if you want to get a quick link to give to some of your customers. We'll do it for Prominent again here quick. So all you do is you go to this whitespark.ca/Google review link generator. You find your company by typing in your company name, and then it's just going to give you this review link, and you can actually copy that, and then if you send it to someone in email or send it to your customers, it'll send this up right here, and then it allows you to, you can leave them a review. So it'll allow the customers to easily leave a review. It's a quick review link. So again, something very easy you can do, whitespark.ca/Google review link generator. All right. Oh, and one more thing with that. go back to this. In your reviews, make sure you're replying to every review. I see these guys haven't replied to some of their more recent ones, but they were replying before, which is good. This again is I don't know if it's a ranking factor more or per se it's something that makes your profile again look active. So if you get a review, hit a reply, say thank you. You can see right here, we're pleased to hear you had an exceptional experience. Thanks for the review. It makes your profile look active for people that are reading reviews and for Google. If you get a negative review, don't ignore it. I would say reply to that review. Don't cuss at them or say something bad to them on the reply. Say, we're sorry for the inconvenience. Please contact us and we'll resolve the situation. Something like that. So it's not something that makes you look like an angry person. It makes you look like you know what you're doing and you're good with customer service. So again, make sure you reply all the reviews. So that covers GMB optimization in a nutshell. Again, this is an overview video. We're going to go into a way more in-depth webinar on Google Maps, but this is just something that we can kind of take with you. Next step with getting ranked on Google Maps is going to be citations. So if you're not familiar with a citation is basically a mention of your business on another website. So like directories, the common ones are going to be, like a citation would be, you can see the major ones like right here, Better Business Bureau, Home Advisor, Yelp, even social media profiles like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, stuff like that, Chamber of Commerce, all these little directories, Yellow Pages, stuff like that. That is a citation. And a citation would have your name of your business, your address of your business, your phone number, and then likely a link back to your website. So those are the 4 things we're really looking for on a citation. You don't necessarily have to have the link back to your website, but as long as that information is correct, meaning there's no issues with the phone number, the address isn't incorrect, we want to make sure the name, address, and phone is correct across the internet, because that, and again, this has become less of an issue as the years have gone on, but it still is an issue, and I see it often in some of the clients that we worked with. Make sure your name, your address, and your phone number is correct. If you had an old office address or a different phone number for some reason 3 years ago and you changed it, make sure that you hire someone or you have someone go back in and clean up that address to make sure it's updated to the new one, especially for these major directories like Better Business Bureau, Facebook, stuff like that, because those are the major ones you're going to see if you type in like roofing contractor and stuff like that, and you want to make sure that's correct, because it's going to allow people to contact you if they find you on those sites, but the even bigger reason is going to be for ranking in Google Maps. That trustworthiness. So you need to make sure you're propelling that trustworthiness to Google's algorithm and telling them, yes, I am on these big locations, these big citation sites, and my phone number, address, name, it's the same, it's correct. So make sure that is correct. That's all I can tell you with that. So don't just go across the internet. Make sure, if you find anything incorrect, make sure it gets corrected. This is a great site for, again, I'm back on Whitespark because they have some good content, but this is a good article about the best citations by category for roofing contractors. It's going to go the same for siding, gutters. So it has all of these places that you can get listed as a roofing contractor. You're going to see the big ones like I just mentioned: Home Advisor, Yellow Pages, Thumbtack, BBB, Angie's List, Porch.com. So all of these places you should be listed in. It's very easy to get listed. Normally it's free. Sometimes they'll probably hit you up to pay to be in the directories, but you don't need to do that. Just make sure you have these listing and make sure you have that brand presence on those sites, because these are the biggest areas that Google looks to for trust on the internet. And then if you have multiple locations, so this isn't very common, but we do have some roofing contractors that might have they might cover a 200-mile radius in service area, and they might have a location on the north end of that radius, and then maybe a location with trucks on the lower end too. So if that's the case, I'll just give you an example. We have a client in Omaha, and then they also have a location in Lincoln, which is about 100. I don't know if it's 100, maybe 50 miles apart. So in that case, make sure you have citations for each one of those locations, and make sure that the service areas on your Google My Business are only covering that area and not overlapping. Because if the service areas overlap, we can have issues. You'll have all sorts of issues with getting ranked on Google Maps. So make sure you get listed. You have a Facebook page, you have a BBB, you have a Home Advisor listing for each of those locations if you choose to do that. So just another tip right there. And then get the major ones at the very least. If you can't get every single one of these, every single one of these citations for your business, get the big ones. That's what really matters, and that's what we're seeing more and more in 2019. Google's not as worried about citations. They are nice to have, especially in highly competitive areas. But if you want to get ranked, at least have the big ones. And again, I mentioned the big ones in this slide here. Better Business Bureau, if you're not accredited, you can still get on the Better Business Bureau website. But if you aren't accredited, you really should be if you're a contractor. It's a trust factor. It's a trustworthy citation to Google. It might be $500 to $1,000 a year. It's well worth it in terms of building your online brand presence. As much as I hate to say it, I'm not a big fan of the BBB, but it is what it is. Home Advisor, every social media profile. Facebook is a big one. Suppliers like if you're GAF certified, Owens Corning, if you're a member of the NRCA, those are all opportunities to get listed as on their actual websites. If you're in a local chamber of commerce, get a listing on the local chamber of commerce. Those are all big citations that can help you with your overall Google Maps rankings. All right, so website content correlation. This is a big one. Again, I mentioned earlier how much the website and your Google My Business profile that we just talked about correlate. So if you have information on your Google My Business profile that we just showed, you should have that same information or information about the services you're mentioning on Google My Business on your actual website. Because if you don't, then Google's going to get confused and be like, why do you say you do this, but it's not on your website? It's a big ranking factor. We see it as one of the biggest ranking factors. So your website should directly tie into your GMB. So when I say that, I mean if you do roofing, make sure you have something about roofing on your website. If you're primarily a roofing contractor, the homepage on your website should be about roofing, and roofing in the local area that you're in. So if you're in Chicago and you're a roofing contractor and your Google My Business is located in Chicago and it says you're a roofing contractor, then your homepage should be about roofing contractors in Chicago and talk about your roofing services that you offer in the Chicago area. It's as simple as that. If you do siding, make sure if it says you're a siding contractor on your Google My Business profile, make sure you have a siding page on your website that talks about siding, and so on and so forth. So just make sure that it ties in, because if you have a weird page about some random service, it says like you do painting, it says you're a painter on your Google My Business, you chose that as one of your categories for some reason because maybe you do painting a little bit, but you don't have that on your website or anything about that, that's just weird, and it might hurt you in terms of Google rankings. So make sure you tie everything in directly on the website. You should have a service page for each service on your website that you offer. And I'm going to show you an example of why this matters. Let's go back here. Actually, right here. So this search result, I did metal roofing near me. In the Google Maps section, if you look at this third result right here, And right here it says their website mentions metal roofing. These guys probably had no chance of ranking for this type of term, but because they had something on their website about metal roofing, it placed them in the 3-pack of Google Maps for this term. And this is just a blatant example of how Google is tying in your website to your Google My Business location. This is their Google My Business listing popping up right here. It mentions what's on their website. They were typing in metal roofing near me. It popped up because they had something about metal roofing. You know, it's just it's such an interesting thing. You'll see this a lot in a lot of different search results. So the reason I mention that again is because it's important to have all those pages on your website that mention about what you do. And then lastly, neighborhood content. This is that local aspect. So everything in Google Maps, in the Google Maps 3-pack, if you want to get ranked in this section, is related to your services, so your roofing services you provide, and where you're actually located in the service area that you serve. So the more you have something on your website about the area that you serve, the more likely Google is going to attribute that to, hey, you talk a lot about the city of Chicago on your website, or you talk about the neighborhoods surrounding Chicago on your website that you serve, you must be a good fit to be ranked in this map pack for roofing in Chicago, because Google is attributing that local factor to your website and to your Google My Business. They're seeing that connection. So if you want to get ranked in Google Maps, doing all of these things and then more is how you get ranked, and that more part is the local part. So whether it be, you know, writing up service area pages on your website, so listing out, not only listing out the cities or neighborhoods that you serve on your website, but also having a page about each one of those cities and where you serve, and maybe some reviews from people in those cities. You know, what else? Videos or photos from projects you've done, jobs you've done, you know, in those neighborhoods or cities. That can all really attribute to that local factor. You can even write articles about, you know, for instance, you know, say there was a hailstorm, you know, in the Minneapolis area, you know, on this date, and this is how much damage there was. That's an article you could quickly put up on your blog, on your website. You know, put a few links into it. It's something that can tell Google that, yeah, yet again, you're talking about your local area. So, you know, you're a good fit to be ranked for the city of Minneapolis, and about roofing and hail damage and stuff like that. So, again, just some examples. You know, it's all stuff that can help long term in your rankings. So one of the last pieces, and again, we're going over this quick. I can't teach everything in an hour or 30 minutes or whatever time this is, but when it comes to SEO and Google Maps, links are still a big thing. Links, when I say links, I mean, you hear a lot of SEO people talk about links. It's basically, you know, people are linking or hyperlinking from one website to your website, and in Google's eyes, that counts as what you could call like a vote. And the more quality votes you have from other websites linking to your website, the more trustworthy your site is to Google and to their algorithm, and more likely it is that you're going to rank higher in Google search results. Same goes for Google Maps. Sorry. But I would say backlinks aren't as important for Google Maps. I think the more important part of that backlink portion is that they're very relevant to getting ranked on Google Maps. And again, if you remember what we talked about your services that you offer and your local area that you serve. So some way or another, these links that you're getting should tie into one of those two things. And when I say that, I mean, if you're getting a local link, a good example I have right here, Chamber of Commerce. So if you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce of your city or your local area, and you have a link coming from the Chamber of Commerce website locally to your website, that is a very good local indicator to Google that you're involved in the community and you serve that community. So that's a good link to have. Maybe charity events you participated in, you can get links from. Even mentions of your brand name are still big. Maybe awards you've won, stuff like that. Those are great local links. And then the other section is those service or those topical related links, the links that are related to the services that you provide. These are probably going to be more common in terms of more powerful links. So, if you're part of a trade organization or roofing trade organization, NRCA, or a more local roofing contractor association, if you if you had a booth at an event, or at a trade show that you had an event for that you paid for, usually they'll give you a link on those types of sites. It could even be, if you have information to share, if you're more into the writing aspect, you can write blog posts or guest posts with links back to your site on bigger, well-known contractor websites, whether it be like, roofingcontractor.com or stuff like that. So those are the types of links I would really look for, and those are the ones that we typically see that have the best chance of helping you to get ranked in your local area. So hopefully that answers some questions, guys. I'm going to do some live Q&As as we continue to go here. But this was actually a good overview for how you can get ranked on Google Maps, and why it's so important. It is such a big portion of the search traffic that people search for on Google, and homeowners and business owners that are looking for roofers or siders or gutter contractors to do their services for them, but they want to find someone that they can trust. If you're listed on Google and you're coming up at the top of Google Maps, you're more than likely going to get that call. So that's why it's so important to do all these things to help your chances of getting ranked in Google Maps. If you want to get a free local maps audit, we'll give you a step-by-step process. We'll do a deep dive audit on your current position, your competitors, what they're doing. We'll give you a step-by-step approach on how you can overtake them in Google Maps, what you need to do, whether it be us giving you the steps to do it, or us showing you the ways to do it, or if you're interested in learning more about our services and how they help you, we would love to do that. Just go to roofermarketers.com/apply, and we will take a look at everything for you. Again, this is just one of the many different areas you can get leads from online. I think you can't just go for local maps. People that have that mindset aren't going to be successful on the internet, but this is one very important part of getting traffic to your website, and it is a long-term play that can have, I think, potentially the best return on investment in terms of investing in marketing. If you can get ranked in the Google Maps section in your local area, have great reviews, you're going to get a lot of free traffic, and you're going to get a lot of leads and a lot of jobs, a lot of revenue for your business. So we'll see you next time, guys, on our next video, and have a good one.